Good afternoon. Welcome to Being Whole, Being Me, Series 58. And today we have Mohd Nadzrin. Been trying to get this guy for a while. And, this is my normal pickup line for a lot of people who've been listening in. I've never met him. In fact, this morning or just now when we met, only then I realized I've actually never seen him. But this guy has pretty good impact, I would say. He nudges me, in fact, makes me uncomfortable with his post, which is why I connected with him because he makes me want to rethink what I think and I believe. So, with great pleasure, let's bring Nadzrin.
Thank you for inviting me to this. It feels like a lot of fun even before we started.
I don't know which is the fun part, the fact that any post of yours that I read makes me pause.
Including McDonald's, like stuff
Not
about cats.
yeah. So if I didn't pause, that means I didn't read it. So
Oh, okay.
that's the. But that's I'm very curious about you, and I think I've said this to you the first time I spoke to you, um, and and I want to really thank you because I've been wanting. The struggle always when I get a speaker like you in your time is that okay, what do we talk about in this very short time? So I want to thank you because I
Oh,
know
okay.
it's Friday,
Thank you.
and it's Friday, and I know you need to leave by 1. So that's why we started early. So let's welcome Nazreen. So Nazreen, just tell us about you. Who is Nazreen?
Um, Long story short, I guess I like to introduce myself now compared to when I used to. I introduce myself now as a full-time father and a part-time professional learning facilitator. Once upon a time, it was the other way around. Right? You'd be a full-time professional learning facilitator and a part-time father, and that was the reality. The reality is, I spent most of my time at work and less time at home. I used to work a job for 7 years, where most of the time I'd be out of the house for 7 days. So I work 7 days a week. Sometimes on weekends when I have opportunities, I'll bring the kids to the office when there's nobody there. They get to walk around, they get to see where I work. But the reality is, most of the time, I leave the house before Subo. The kids are asleep. I come home. I leave the office after Isha, and by the time I get home, they're asleep again. So it's challenging in that. Once upon a time, my life was like that, and I enjoyed the. Here's the worst part, right? I enjoyed the job. Money was good. I had no money issues, but we had family issues. So in 2015, we made a decision. I would leave. We expected to have some money issues, but at least we didn't have family issues after that. Um, it's up and down. It's been up and down these last few years, pandemic as well. But we've never been better, and I do not regret my decision at all. So in my career, I think I started my career. I can't remember. It's 20 years, 25 years now, because I started quite early, even when I was in university. And I count that as having contributed to meeting a lot of senior people who kept telling me about their experiences. Some people got divorced, some people, had children who didn't recognize them when they got back from work. And I thought, I'm not going to wait for this to happen. I'm going to make a decision, and decided, okay, time is right to go. So in 2015, 31st August 2015 was my Merdeka Day. So Merdeka Day
Oh,
was my Merdeka Day. That was the last day of work. Technically, it was the 29th because that's a Friday. So I started my new life as a stay at home dad on the 1st of September, and the journey has been fun. Of course, I still work. Of course, I do freelance work as a learning facilitator for clients. So sometimes I leave the house, but now I found an office behind the house. I've rented a space. So when I when I say bye bye, I'm going to work, they know where I'm going. They know I'm going behind the house. So after school, sometimes they can come over here. We can hang out. So long story short, career in journalism for 7 years, public relations, marketing, knowledge management, and then as a learning coach in a big consulting company for about 7 years, a company that has about 500,000 staff. So I've worked in small and large companies. I know what that feels like. But at the end of the day, I like this company the best, my family. Was that short enough?
It was beautiful. It's wow, you took us right into the crack. So I'm of course curious now. I'm going to just say hello to a couple of people who have come to support us. Gerald, hi Gerald. Thanks. Gerald's a very good friend who's there every week. Same thing with Luis Marias. Good afternoon. And Luis, I'm so happy we can put up your comment. Okay. Yay, Andreas. He says you're looking good. Yeah, Andres, I'm supposed to be in touch with you too because you said you
Okay,
have to
that's
be.
embarrassing. That's embarrassing to have me come up first before Andreas. So I apologize. I apologize, Cikgu.
All right. So what I really liked about what you said is that in June we are focusing on fathers, and we've always paid a lot of attention to mothers, and I love what you said when you said you're a full time father. And I also enjoyed listening to you saying, you had family issues. So I want to thank you for bringing that into the space. But can you tell us, like, at what point was it for you, that's it, despite the uncertainty, despite the challenges, what might be, right? What was that one thing that you were thinking, feeling that you said, or, as a family, you decided, that's it, that, we're going to transition, right? I'm going to be a full time dad and,
Hmm.
work part time. So, what was that? If there was one defining moment, how would you describe?
Okay. I would say I'm the kind of person that doesn't make snap decisions. So there never really was like an overflow, like a tipping point. But I knew that I needed to make the decision soon. So it bubbled over. There were things like, just to make a long story short, when I was at this large organization, a lot of consultants I met, they told me horror stories. This is not even secondhand, so this is personal stories of them flying overseas, doing consulting work, and then coming home, knocking on their own door, and then their own son opens the door and says, "Mommy, there's somebody at the door." it doesn't, they didn't recognize their own son. So this guy immediately took, I think he resigned. He resigned almost immediately. Of course, with a two month notice. Another consultant told me the story when he has a teenage son, and his wife called him up and said, "You better talk to your son." I told him he wants to go to this concert. I told him he can't go. You better tell him. So he's on the phone with his son. He says, "Your mom says you can't go, so therefore you can't go." And his son says to him over the phone, "You can't tell me not to. It's not like you're my father or anything." He immediately took 6 months leave. He immediately took 6 months leave, and he decided to stay and work it out with his son. I don't know what happened to him, because these are the things that when I worked there, I got to meet a lot of very senior people, and some succeeded. Right, one of them said to me, "Nazrin, when you go further up in this organization, you need to set your untouchables." And I go, "What? What does that mean?" He says, "The dates in your year where you never allow the company to take those dates. Sister's wedding, mother's, or mother's operation, and anything, right? So you need to be firm with the organization. But before you can do that, you need to slog the first few years, sacrifice, prove yourself to the company before you can ask for something back." So all of these stories. I have another story, but I don't know if it's suitable for your
Bring it
okay.
on.
Sure, sure. Okay. Long story short, I have a friend in Michigan who is a criminologist. He studies masters in criminology, and one of his friends is a warden at a prison. You can search this up on Facebook. I posted on Facebook the story. So the warden asked his friend. He said his name is his his name is Davidson. So do you want to meet this guy? I have an inmate who is an ex pimp. You want to meet him because you want to understand criminals, right? You want to meet him. So Davidson goes and meets him and interviews him, and he asks a very simple question: "How do you get girls to work for you?" And the pimp says it's easy. All the girls who work for him are people who have really bad father figures, who never had fathers in their life, or were taken advantage of by men. So he says, "I offer them an occupation, a vocation where they are in charge. I offer them a vocation where they are in control. I don't have to force people to work for me. And when he told that story to me, when he was crying, he told that story to me. We were, it is a long time ago. We were using Yahoo chat. What remember that? It was a Yahoo chat, right? And he told that story to me, and he says he did a bit more research, only to find out that yes, in many cases, a lot of the research backs it up that girls without good, strong father figures will look for recognition from other men. So if you provide everything to your daughters, then no other man can replace that, right? So when they go out and they fall in love and stuff like that, everything you've already given them. There's nothing they need from any other man, right? It means you build strong children who are independent. You have given all of the love, all of the recognition, all of the things that they need to be emotionally stable. They're never going to be dependent on another human being after that. They will choose people. So, like I said, there was no one point, but then I realized that I'm not being a good father. I don't know if I'm still being a good father, but we made those decisions together as a family, and okay, time to go. So it's been this is so 7 years in that company, and this is actually my seventh year outside.
Wow.
Like I say, in the wilderness, being unemployed. Now, I don't recommend this to all fathers, right? I mean, there is a risk, of course, if you were to resign and then you're going to start your own business. There's always a risk, financial risk and stuff like that. So I'd say think about it very, very carefully, because I left after I was very sure I could do it. Right? I left only after I was very sure I could do it. I wouldn't want to put the family at risk.
Yeah. But I think you've given us, and I think the last story was a very important story that needed to be heard, right? I think we needed it because I do come from this space, in a very small village from Bintong, right? Where it is usually surprising if the girls don't get married. That means they don't just run off with a guy or get pregnant by the time they finish SRP,
Okay.
maximum SPM. So when I was growing up, my mom was amazing. She told me this, right? She said, she every day she would, I mean, she garang like that, and so she will just
Uh,
say this to me, right? She said, I don't want you to end up like that, right? I don't want you to end up like that, and this is why you need to get an education. But people around us were expecting me to end up that way because that was a normal expectation, right? That that you get off, right? Run away, because there was no other way, better way of getting married or getting hitched, right? From the background that you are coming from. So we've had that pattern. I've seen that pattern, and you're absolutely right, because most men in my village were absent fathers, right? Because they were usually addicted to alcohol or drugs, right? So
okay.
you've made that point really, really clear, and I think that's really important because as we rethink a lot of things, especially in the month of June, I think I meet a lot of. So now my problem is my friends, my guy friends are all generally aspiring great fathers. Just like my friends, girlfriends are all great mothers, right? So they set the standard so high, you never get there as good as them, right? Now, so and I loved what you said about being strong for your kids, good strong fathers. Now, if you can just expand on what you know about what does it mean to be a good strong father from the conversation you've had with your friend, I think that would help us to sort of
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. It's been quite a while since I've talked to him, so I got his name wrong. I've just sent you in WhatsApp the Facebook posting. His name is Jeff Davidson.
Okay.
So hi Jeff, if you're watching this all the way from Michigan. His name is Jeff Davidson. He's a Silat teacher, and that's how we met. So he's a Silat teacher in Michigan. And the conversation died right there because he also had a daughter, and he was panicking because of that. And
Mm,
at that time, I only had one daughter.
mm,
When he shared that story with me, I only had one daughter, so we were both panicking a little bit. Him much more than I, because he lives in in an area. He lives in Detroit, I believe, which is famous for crime, as he puts it. I don't know. See, so we didn't actually talk further about that. So what happened after that was I decided to speak to other friends who are already fathers, and I benefited a lot from my interactions in Silat, because a lot of my classmates, my Silat mates, were actually older than me. They were in their 40s, in their 50s or 60s at the time. And I got to meet a lot of Silat teachers who also were fathers, also went through that fatherhood process. So it was interesting to listen to what they said and how they managed it, because I think it's better to listen to people who have gone through the path. Okay, so to answer your question, um, I a lot of the sense I got from them was that you need to find an example, right? You need to find an example to follow. Otherwise, you get confused. So the first example, of course, is my prophet, is Prophet Muhammad, who had many children, but it was very documented in how he raised them and how he interacted with them and how he interacted with his companions. There was nothing hidden, right? And the sense that I got was he created a very safe environment for his children to talk to him, even though he's a prophet, even though he was a head of state. It was anybody off the street could come to talk to him, right? And when I see people like Tony Fernandez, I see people like Richard Branson, his employees can come up to him and complain to him and say stuff to him. I'm reminded of that. I'm reminded of great leaders who are great people who turn out to be great fathers. So it's difficult to be a great anything if you're not a great person to begin with. I think that's the core. So I started thinking about how can I do that? How can I start being a good person? And that's been my struggle. The English word struggle means failing, right? But the mujahadah, the Arabic word means struggle means to keep fighting, or like say fight, fighting. So it's been you see these books at the back. Most of them are not read, but all of them contribute to something in my personality to become a better father, better human being. So I think learn from other people's experiences, because it's cheaper than learning from your own. You find people who seem to do well as fathers, only to discover all of them say the same thing. I don't know what I'm doing. They all tell me, actually, Nazrin, I don't know what I'm doing. It's all trial and error. So let's learn from their successes and learn from their errors and see what you can apply for your own. Because every family is different, every family dynamic is different, and every child is different. Okay. Now, we're talking a lot about fathers. I don't feel it's fair because I don't think I've contributed that much to my kids. My wife has contributed far more. I'd say that. And the reason for this is before we got married, she's a very open person. She said to me, I don't want to become a typical, and this is her words, huh? Don't kill me. I don't want us to be a typical Malay family. I go, what does that mean? She says, I want my kids to communicate with me. I want my kids to be able to talk to me and be open with me and stuff. And I said, okay, let's allow them to do that. And now, padan muka, because her kids are very open with her. And I said, this is what you asked for, right? This is what you asked for. This is what's happening. So uh, I have no idea how to describe it, because uh, it's an amazing process to watch your kids just become people, and you don't. Sometimes you feel like I didn't contribute anything to this. They're just growing on their own. We just step back and let them do their thing, right? Ken Robinson, I believe, said that children. I think it was there's an unconfirmed quote by Einstein, I guess, that children are born geniuses. But Ken Robinson that says that children are creative. Is just we kill their creativity, right? So what I've tried to do is, whenever we see our kids move in a particular direction, a particular interest, we try and invest in that. So it doesn't have you don't have to be it doesn't have to be expensive, right? You got Daiso, you got 2 ringgit shops. It's just very cheap color pencils. You just buy and see what happens. And if nothing happens, fine. Wait for the next interest to pop up and then invest in that. So what's happened is, for some reason, all of my kids have turned to art, except for one. He's turned to gaming. So we're watching things happen. If you really have been stalking my Facebook, you would have seen my 3-year-old son painting dinosaurs inside the line. not outside the line. Okay, so the dinosaur is drawn. He's painting it within the line, and people are all shocked. I was so shocked. I actually took a video of it. I posted it on Facebook. I just want to know if it was normal or not. My my first daughter is now 14. She's in school, and she draws like backwards and forwards. It's just sketches everywhere. Her art teacher now has adopted her. So it's I think the best thing as a parent is to stay out of their way. So, right,
Hmm.
stay out of their way for them to grow, but there has to be structure, there has to be limits. We live in a society, so the limits that we set on them is adab. Okay, adab means that you can say whatever you want in the house. There are limits, of course. Okay, you want to complain or whatever, you say it in this manner. When you're outside with people who don't know you, they don't understand who you are, understand your values, then you have to act this way. So we're teaching them that it's okay to be yourself, um, in the home with us. When you're outside, you need to take into account these people don't know you, so they're going to judge you automatically. Therefore, you need to learn how to adjust to their expectations. I'm saying that it sounds very theoretical, but with them, they get it, because we given them as examples. Uh, and this started out quite a few years ago when my first son Afifuddin, he very interesting. He is loud. He is like he runs around the house like mad. He's just he doesn't do that anymore. When he was younger, he used to do that. It was horrible for my mom, because she says stop running around. So my mom's a bit old school in that. But when we went to school, here's the interesting thing, right? His teacher said, "Oh, Afifuddin is a very nice boy. He's very quiet in class." And I look at my wife, and we both look at our son. Are you talking about the same person or not? Because at home he's all over the place, right? So in the car, I think I posted on Facebook somewhere. So I have this tendency of whenever something happens to my kids, I will post it on Facebook because I want to remember it. So in the
Hmm.
car, we asked him, Afif, what does your teacher say? You're very quiet at school, but at home you're like all over the place. Kan? You huru hara kan? His answer broke my heart. He says, "Yeah, at school, I don't know anybody. Nobody knows me. But at home, I know everybody. Everybody knows me at home."
Hmm.
He didn't have friends in primary school because he has a skin condition. He has eczema,
Hmm.
so he was ostracized quite a bit. But now, interesting, now he's in Form One, and girls are chasing after him, which is weird. Which is weird. Every day, his sister, his elder sister, and him, they are 1 year apart. So every day, his sister will report to us. This girl actually went around saying that Afif is her boyfriend, and Afif is like, I know nothing. So
Nice.
he's going through stuff that his father never went through. Um, it, so
Well,
so whatever happens at school, right? If whatever happens at school, they tell us, and they tell us the names of the people who do stuff. And it's happening to the first three of my children. My number three, Sophia, she also draws. So there was one incident, she was drawing in class during a free period, and then one boy comes up to her and says, "Your drawing is ugly." And these children, right? Children different from when we were young. Sophia just looks up and he says, "Really? You're trying to hurt my feelings?"
wow.
And I go, "Where do you learn
Wow.
this?" Not from me. So he gets shocked, and he calls over his friends to say, "Come, see, this is ugly drawing." And the friends come over and they go, "No, it's nice." So interesting. She handles herself much better with bullies than her elder sister did when she first went to school. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm tearing up right now, just telling these stories. So I don't know if I'm the right person to come and talk to you about this, because every step of the way, I don't know. I didn't contribute to any of these. Every time these stories come back from school, right? We're wondering. I look at my wife and we look at what did we do for this to have happened? So I think that the single most answer is we we stayed out of their way lah. I'd say that we didn't interfere too much with their creativity. Of course, there are limits. There are things that you can and cannot say. There are things you can and cannot do. But for us, if it doesn't fall into haram or makruh, right? and you're not being rude to anybody, okay, do. But tell us what you do first before you do. Don't go and shave the cat just because it's experimental. They were
Okay.
quite close to doing that. They were quite close to doing that. So
Oh
we're not a typically Malay family. Seeing as I was not raised typically Malay as well, but I would like to think that right now we're on the right path. Inshallah, I'm praying very hard.
my. Mm,
So I don't know
mm.
if you got the right person to speak today. I didn't do
Yeah,
anything.
we need to just hack it until 1 o'clock, whether you're right or not. But the comments that's coming through will actually give you the feedback that you need.
Okay. Oh, there's comments. Are there comments?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Major Prabha is saying, "Hello, my dear Cheku Nadzrin.
Hello,
Hello,
Major.
beautiful mother. Honor listening to you. That's to you." We've posted the Facebook post. Kirtana has posted it for those who want to click on and read about what
Oh yeah.
Nadzrin had just shared just now. Thank you for that. Gerald says, "Nice, Nadzrin. We learn every day, and we just have to keep learning to be better every day." Suguna says, yes, it's wonderful that parents who bring up their children to communicate their feelings as emotions affects our learning ability. Ah, Gerald says, the apple does not fall far from the tree, Nazreen. I'm sure you and your wife played a huge part of their success. For me, children are a reflection of their parents, you know. Thank you, Gerald. But I must say that, you know, whenever people say these children are a reflection of their parents, right? This is the scariest quote for me.
Yeah.
It is, it is, it is just scary, right?
Well,
When
there's
I
a way out from there, right? If they become teenagers, they're not children anymore. So you can
oh,
safely say, okay, you're not you're not mine anymore.
but that one haunts me. I must say that it's a haunting quote for me. But you know, Gerald, thank you very much. Um, so you actually, you know, went ahead because I was going to ask you how do you balance freedom, you know, with boundaries, and I think you've actually answered the question. I have a
Mhm.
personal question. I have other question, but this one is personal for me, right?
Okay.
And do you face these experience where or whether you've heard either you or you've heard of the younger generation today rejecting religious teaching? Any,
Um,
any have you
I
heard?
think I've heard of them questioning it. I don't know that they are outright rejecting it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more about, and when you say religious, what religion specifically?
Any,
Because
because
any
I
religion.
yeah, any because I,
Okay.
I I'm seeing this as a trend with mothers, of course. You know,
Right.
I have mothers talking to me, you know, and you're absolutely right. You know, where they are beginning to I wouldn't say question, but I would say more of questioning to maybe indirectly reject. Do you have any experience on that? Because now I'm asking you this question because I know because you used Prophet as the role model, and
Hmm?
you know you use Islamic terms, which
Yep.
is what I like about you, right? And yeah, I'm just wondering.
Well, I don't know about others. I dare not speak about others. I have heard some, but only in passing.
Mm.
If I can turn that question around to say how we've done it,
Ah,
then long, long time ago, families, Malay families, used to have teachers. So the family itself would have a teacher, would have a sheikh, would have a murshid to teach them, right? And typically within a particular kampong, you would have one that would
mm,
guide the whole kampung. Yeah,
mm,
but as we become more urbanized, then we stray further away from that. You go to school and you have a teacher. You go to religious school, you have an ustad. You have here and there, but you don't actually have one that you fall in love with, right? I don't know if this makes sense, but once upon a time, the relationship between a teacher and a student was love. It was you love your teacher loves the students. Yeah.
mm,
Okay. So that being said, our family have teachers. We from generations from my great grandparents' time. So what happens is when they teach you religion, they don't teach you like the rituals of the religion. They teach you the meaning of the religion. So I'll give you an example.
mm,
Taking from the Prophet's approach of, he taught Tawheed first. He taught about the oneness of God first before he taught the rituals and the laws. So you are taught to fall in love with Allah first. You're taught to take Him on and accept Him as your God before you teach everything else. Because if you teach everything else first, then it becomes a ritual. It's not a spiritual. Okay, so I'm not propagating anything. I'm explaining right now how we did it. So from very when I was very young, sorry, when my children were very young, we would teach them that if they wanted anything, they just put their hands up and they ask Allah for it. And it's always been the case, when they ask for it, they get it. Okay, so in the case of parking, this is funny, I know, but every time we go to a shopping center, we have 5 kids in the back say, please pray for parking, and within 30 seconds or less, you get parking. If my wife and I go, we never get parking for the next 3 minutes. So from the very early on, we demoted ourselves as parents. We were, some people say that children, when they look at their parents are their first gods, until they realize that their parents are fallible. Okay, from the very beginning, we did the same thing as the Prophet did. I am only your father. I'm not perfect. You want something, you ask from him. And that's been the case all the time. That the rituals come as a result of that connection. So we help build that connection first. Religion as an institution needs to be taught, but what's the sequence you're teaching it in? Is it theory? Is it these are the 5 prayers? This is what you do? No, you always start with, even in Islam, the 5 pillars first starts with belief in is shahada. Even the pillars of faith, the first pillar of faith is belief in Allah.
Mm.
Right? Prayers, everything comes afterwards. So if we can do that first, then when they go out, they can connect with other people who also have an affinity with God. They don't have to, differentiate between, oh, your rituals are like that, my rituals are like this. But if you go, hey, you also have, but you're from a different religion, but you also have love for God. I know what that feels like. We can connect. So like Andres teaches me about chunking up and chunking down in neuro-linguistic programming, right? If you chunk down too far, you're going to disagree with everyone. But if you chunk up, then you're going to be able to find a similar purpose with other people, find the commonalities, and that's what God tells us to do, right? To avoid disagreement, find the commonalities first, because then you can sit down and talk, then you can sit down and connect. So I don't know if that answered your question. I have heard, but I don't have specific cases, right? So on the other side, this is what we do.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm happy. If anyone else is not happy, they have to put down the question. So I'm satisfied. I'm moving on. I always say I bring on guests because I'm curious and I'm also searching for some answers. And I've told you this, right? My brother's a Muslim,
Mhm.
and he's an amazing role model for me. I think has shifted me in many ways, just in the way I've seen him transform his life, right, on his own. And I've seen how, as a person who embraced Islam, how I saw him as an observer move from rituals to the essence of Islam to a point that I just I just absolutely love my brother in a way I can't say it, right. Like I just enjoy looking at him. I enjoy looking at him, and when we have families who don't understand that, they don't, because what they see is they see a Christian sister with a Muslim brother because he's got with his jubba and all of that, right? And
Oh, he
I have,
can grow. He can
yeah,
grow.
yeah,
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
and I think it's just so it's a pity. I say this to my relative. It's a pity that you just cannot see the kind of the amazing person. He always has been amazing, but the way he has shifted, I'm always in awe of my brother. So, and as I begin to as I have conversations with my brother to understand how he is thinking, right? And that's how I've always been intrigued when you put up thoughts. And for me as a non-Muslim, you help me understand, people like my brother much better and be able to have that conversation too, right? And appreciate my friends who come from, a different religion. So thank you so much. I got what I wanted. So,
If I can relate back that to fatherhood, right?
yeah.
So the difference between your brother and me is that he probably has far more faith than I do. I pray to be able to get that because he chose it. See, I was born with it, and born Muslims, we are privileged in that we were born into it, but we didn't make that conscious shift. He made that conscious shift, so he's stronger in that, which means he has that free will. So if you can give your children that kind of free will, right, at the same time they know what they're doing. I saw this interview yesterday by Jordan Peterson and Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. He lives in the United States. He's Muslim. He says, I try to raise my children Muslim, but at the end of the day, if they decide not to become, then I really hope they stay Muslim. But if they decide to be something else, then that's the freedom Allah gives to them, right? So we live in a country where it's instituted, and there's always issues there. But that's why a lot of people, as they move overseas, because they don't have the institution, but they become better or stronger Muslims because they don't have the props, so they have to do it themselves. Just like how some Malays, when they go overseas, they become more Malay because if they live in Malaysia house in the UK, they become far more Malay. So if I relate that back to fatherhood, it's about finding that balance, like you said, about giving them that freedom, but also giving them the values. Because if we don't give them values, then somebody else will.
Mm.
Yeah, and when they come of a particular age, then they have to decide.
Mm. Mm. Nice. Thank you. Whoa. Okay. Heavy, like we can talk to you very heavy. Now I need to breathe
Sorry.
in. Don't be sorry. I love you
Even
for
the
this.
even the comments have stopped.
No, because that means like there's no time to process to ask a question because you need to process what you've given. Thank you. So tell me, what makes you influential as a father to your kids? And like,
Uh,
how do you see? I know you said you give them the freedom, and for me that's part of influence in some way. So, how do you see as you observe your children? By giving them freedom or doing whatever you do in your parenting style, how do you see that as having influenced them?
I don't really understand the question, so
Okay.
I'm going to pretend that I understand it. Uh, I would say connection, and I feel guilty doing this because I have 5 kids. I'm not connected to all 5 of them.
Okay.
I'm probably connected to 1 or 2 of them, working on the others. But I'll give you one example, right? About a few years ago, when TikTok was still fresh,
Mm,
and there were certain songs that were being used. One of them is uh, I can't remember. It was a song. It was a song that was used in TikTok, right?
mm, mm.
And my daughter, her cousins, they were making TikToks backwards and forwards, and it was interesting because we we they got pedophiles. They got pedophiles sliding into their DMs, and after that they stopped because they were like, this is not fun anymore. But there was a particular song that was being used, and my daughter was interested in that song. Then one day I decided, let's Google that song, right? And we Googled the song and found the YouTube video, and we watched the video together. It is, as we Malays like to say, full of orang tidak cukup kain, dancing in a disco or club. Okay, that's how old I am, right? I still use the word disco. Uh, and you can see she goes very quiet, and then she says, "Daddy, we're not supposed to be doing this, right?" And I go, "Do what? Um, you know, do this dancing in clubs with bikinis and stuff." And she was the one who said that to me. And I said, "Yeah, yeah." And then she stopped immediately. She stopped after that. So that tells me that kids, they like the song, they know the song, they have no relationship to anything else outside of that song. They don't know the fullness of things. So if I were to say to her, stop listening to songs, stop doing this, without explaining to her why, and she'll never understand why, because she doesn't know the context. So when they're very, very, very young, of course you can scold them for trying to cross the street because they don't know it's danger. At the most, you can just control them physically. But as they start growing up and they have a mind of their own, then you need to involve them in facilitate. I guess use the word facilitate. Involve them in understanding together with you. So last few months, my eldest daughter Alicia, I don't know if you're listening. You're supposed to be at school by now. It's 12:38. You should be on your way to school right now. But uh, she had discussions with her friends on the topic of LGBTQIA plus, and
Wow.
she came home and she goes, "Can we? Can you? What is this? What is our religion say about this?" And I go, "I have no idea. Let's figure this out together." So we went googling. We talked and talked and talked and talked, and it's matter solved for her. The matter is solved for her. Now she's on to other things. But if she has a conversation with her friends, then we don't have the opportunity to explain our values, our perspectives, our rationales, right? So she now she's on Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. So I don't know. It changes quite a bit. What do you think? And I don't know. I don't care. I got work to do. Don't ask me about stuff like this, right? I don't know Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. But we had quite a serious. I think she passed it to her mom, and the mom passed it back to me. So I think we had quite a good moment there. We bonded quite well because, and I think I should take this off when I say this. We bonded quite well because she is a Blackpink fan, and Blackpink, she was playing a song on her phone once, and it was so hot. And I go, "What is that?" And she says, "It's a Blackpink song." And I say, "No, that's a Wonder Girl song." Only then did she discover that her father was a Wonder Girls fan from 2008. And Blackpink covered "So Hot" from Wonder Girls. And then immediately we bonded because she goes, "Oh, my dad is cool." Maybe 10
Ah,
years
nice,
ago.
nice, nice.
So
So,
so that connection must be built, the rapport must be built. The feeling that yes, my father understands me must be built, even if he doesn't. Uh, but at least she opens up quite a bit. She opens up so much we have no idea what she's talking about. Tokyo Revengers, I don't know, any anime she's on right now. So she's just like a sponge. She takes in a lot of stuff, but she also creates a lot of stuff.
nice.
So connection. Have something in common with them. Right now, with them, with all five of them, and with my wife as well, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's everything Marvel. Everything Marvel.
Nice, nice. Got it. Whoa. So connection is key, but it's also very interesting that you said you feel you're more connected to two of your kids.
Yes. So
Yeah.
working on the others.
Huh.
Working on
So
the
tell,
others.
tell me about this work in progress so that we can relate to what you mean by work in progress.
Without opening up too much, because there's a public audience here, and my son is probably here as well. So some of them are still quite young. Some of them are going through their teenage emo phase. So I tend not to intrude too much. Just I wait for opportunities. So
Ah.
I am the kind of person, as an educator as well. I was taught that you push in the direction of interest, right? And this comes also from my Silat background. If you know the stories of Hang Tua and Hang Jabat and Hang Leke, Hang Lekyu, Hang Kasturi, the story goes is that they all went to the same teacher, Adiputra, on Gunung Ledang, to learn Silat. But all of them came back with five different Silat styles. How is that possible if you learn from one teacher? Well,
Mm,
each of them had their own strengths, their own preferences, fighting preferences. So it is said that Hang Tua came back with a high fighting style, right? It was standing. And it is said that Hang Jebat came back with a low fighting style, tiger style. Hang Kasturi had different style, Leke different style. So the idea is that from an educational point of view, everybody has different interests, different directions. And like I said, when you see an interest bud, you add on some more momentum by giving them art supplies. Oh, you're interested in Tun Razak? We went to the Tun Razak Memorial. So,
mm,
so my daughter had a assignment to do about Tun Razak. Instead of going online, we went to the Tun Razak Memorial. She walked through, like, oh, who is this guy? And she came back being, in the whole class, being the most knowledgeable about Tun Razak because she could describe everything she saw. So,
mm,
so the way I was taught to be a learning facilitator, as an educator, as a teacher, is wait for interest. Once there's a spark of interest, and you fan that flame. Okay, fan that flame by giving them experience, giving them books, whatever, in that direction. So
mm,
now I'm spending a lot more on my first daughter because she's reading novels backwards and forwards faster than I can. She reads novels this thick.
mm.
Right? Every time we go to Popular, I spend like 200, 300 just on novels, and she finishes them before I do. I've got like six Jeffrey Archer novels that I've not cracked open, and she's finished her Grisha verse or whatever. She's just it's all over the place, right? So I think with her, Alhamdulillah, she's at 14. She's quite independent. She managed to get noticed by her teachers. So now she's secretary of three different associations. So what are you what are you trying to do? There's a lot of work. She says, I don't know. Teacher just gave to me, so she's I think she's good. Um, Working on the few others. My son is into gaming, but I don't have a line muscle yet because I no understanding of gaming yet. The other three are just they love to draw, so still work in progress. Does that
Nice.
answer your question? Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, yes. So by now, I think people realize maybe that's why they are not asking questions. Like it seems like Malar is just out there to ask questions for herself, and that's
So
absolutely true.
in summary, when you see interest in a particular direction, do something until they get bored, until they realize this is not what I love, not what I want. Okay, wait for the next one, because kids are in their trial mode. They're trying everything backwards and forwards, and if it doesn't cost too much money, what's the problem? Go lah. Take them on cheap holidays, free holidays. Go to the National Science Center. Give them a lot of experience, a lot of life experience, so that later on, at least they'll have something to draw upon rather than only what they read. Yep.
Thank you, thank you. So, oh my gosh, it's 12:45. I only got 15 more minutes. All right, guys, if you have questions, now's the time you put in your question because we only have 10 minutes to ask Nazrin any difficult question. I mean, if it's going to be difficult, help me. Right. How do you see fatherhood and leadership connected?
Like I said, I think a good leader or a good father has to be a good person first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think those are skills that you pick up, right? If you are someone who have, and I feel guilty saying this, if you're someone who has no integrity, whatever task I give you, you're not going to do well, right? So the relationship between fatherhood and leadership, I would say, is that if you are able to be inspirational just by standing there and people want to follow you, then you're probably doing a good job. So it's about being a good person first. Yeah, and whatever values that you hold, being a good person will get you those opportunities and will also allow you to be humble, I think, when you get any sort of position like father or leader, because you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about somebody else. And this is a perspective I've held to for a very long time, that when I ask questions, okay, is parenting for parents? When you go for a parenting course, is it for parents? And they say yes, I say no. A parenting course is for the children. When you go for a leadership course, is it for leaders? They say yes, for leaders. I say no, it's for the followers. And they go, why? Well, if you go for a customer service course, is it for the customer service representative or is it for the customers? And then they go, so it's not about creating someone in power, it's about creating someone who serves.
Mm,
And the word service can be a bad word depending on if somebody sees it the bad way. But I serve my wife serves me. I
mm,
serve my children serve me. I serve my mother no longer serves me. We want to make sure that doesn't happen anymore, because I think it's now our time, right?
mm,
So the word service, I think from a Christian perspective, it's an amazing word, right? We don't hear that often in Islamic terms, yeah. But there is that concept, stewardship. There is that concept. So the idea is that you want to think of yourself as a parent, as someone who provides service, someone who provides value. You think of yourself as a leader, someone who provides value. Okay? There are terms like servant leadership and stuff like that. I think that's the right way to think about it. You're put there in a position to be able to help. Otherwise, why are you there? You're not a king to lord it over others. You don't have authority because of yourself. You need to make sure that things go right, and you need a central person to be able to make that decisions. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
mm. No,
Yeah, but it's a
I'm not.
perspective of being someone who serves and
Mm,
making things better.
nice, nice. And you've put integrity right in the middle of everything, isn't it? Um, so, that's here. Are you frozen?
No, I'm not. I was
Ah,
waiting for you. Am I
ah,
frozen? I'm not frozen.
oh, I'm not sure. Okay, no, because I thought you were frozen, just I couldn't see. You seemed frozen. Jega has come in. That's very nice hearing. My question. Oh, Jega, thank you. Will there be a time, child's age, when you will completely let go of their choices, even if those choices are against our values or religion?
21.
Okay.
Does that answer the question? 21.
Yeah, 21. If you want more, yeah. So Jega, if you want more explanation, put in the question. Is what I think Nazreen said. So now, Nazreen, let's move fast forward this and go into maybe 15 years from now, right? So 15 years from now, when you look back and see your children, because it's really nice the way you demonstrated how your kids are showing up, and I absolutely love the fact that you had nothing to do with it except watching them,
Yep.
except observing and really being present to their needs, whether it's physical or emotional or spiritual, right? So that's what I got out of it. It's like I think it's so much more for me personally, so much more easier to do than to be totally present and observe, so that you can understand what their needs are, right? And then to discern that, right? So for me, that as a mom, that would be my struggle. So that's what I've got from you right now. But looking at it, like say maybe 10, 15 years from now, if you looked back at your children, what would make you feel that, well, I've been a good father?
It's difficult to predict the future, but I would say their ability to defend themselves verbally. I
Mm.
would love for that to happen for all my kids, and my first daughter can do that very well. My son can do that irritatingly well,
Mm.
but he irritates people when he does it. My daughter, who managed to speak up to her bully, tell you, really, you're trying to hurt my feelings. So
Mm.
that's awesome. I would love for them to be able to defend themselves in social situations, because we're not in a world where it's physical fighting anymore. So in Silat we call that seni lidah, the art of the tongue,
Mm. In
or
Silat.
some people call it silat lidah.
Oh.
It's the art of the tongue. Yeah, so it's being able to be, because the concept of pendeka, the
Mm-hmm.
concept of an expert in silat. If you look up in the dictionary, one of the definitions of pendeka is journalist, is wartawan. So someone
Mm.
who has the gift of the gab, who is a diplomat, someone who can use words to be able to what's the word, interact with another person and win. So it's not just a physical form of defense, but the ability to think critically, and then she's now in the my eldest daughter is now in the debate club. So I think that's a good way to go, to be able to actually articulate what you want to say. And if there was anything I gave them that.
Nice.
I gave them
Thank
that.
you. What uh, what would you consider so far in your journey as a father? What's been that most difficult challenge that you you felt you were struggling for direction? Is there any?
Oh, telling them to do something that I myself don't practice. I know, I know it's
Give
right.
me an example, please.
Uh, Go to sleep, get off your phone, and then I'm on TikTok at 1 a.m.
And how do you manage that? Do you do that? And how do you manage that? I think it's quite.
I'm still at the position where I still need my TikTok at 1 a.m. But you go to sleep, so it's not manageable just yet. And like I said, I'm not a perfect father. I'm not sure if I'm the right person to be here today, but I'm still struggling with that one. We know that it's the right thing to do for them, and it's for us as well. But our habits are a little bit difficult to change, and we're worried for them because their habits are still forming. So we want to do our best to be a good example. Sometimes we're just not a good example. It's a horrible examples. But when they manage to be better than us in this current moment, like if a father smokes and a child does not smoke, I've had my friends who say they're actually proud that their children don't smoke. They cannot quit, but they're proud that the children don't start. So it's a little bit like that feeling. Not as extreme though, but more about praying on time. They pray more on time than I do. They they I am I'm on the phone more than they are. So I would say, yeah, it's walking the talk. That's one of the most difficult ones.
Wow, nice. What is the greatest gift? I think this might be the last question. Anyone else want to ask question? You have one last chance to throw it at Nazreen. What is the what would you consider the greatest gift you have got as a result of fatherhood?
Noise, just noise all the time. Kids just arguing, just they're just talking. So when the kids come back from school, they report what happened in school. It's just noise. Because imagine if it was quiet.
Mm,
Imagine if there's nothing there, right?
mm.
So I keep telling my wife that, can you remember a time when we didn't have any kids? What was it like? None of us remember. Neither of us remember. Can you remember what it was like when it was four kids? When it was three? When it was two? When it was one? No, we don't remember because we're enjoying this. Um, so I would say just a lot of activity, a lot of noise, a lot of extra information from people who are coming into their own. So the greatest gift is they communicate and they tell you what's what. But sometimes you have to make corrections in terms of manners. Say, you can't say that to me. I'm your father. Okay, but I take that point. Okay, so I understand what you're trying to say. Please say it like this next time. Huh? So you actually teach it to them how they're supposed to say it to your grandmother, to the and we say that's your sister. You don't say that to your own sister. So
Mm.
they know what they want to say, but sometimes they don't know how to say it
How to say?
correctly within a particular frame of manners, right? So you have to accept the information and then adjust the packaging. If I say that right there.
Nice, nice. Okay, I know I said last question, but where do you draw energy to do all of this, Nazreen? You put the only Nazreen I know is that whatever you get yourself involved, you do it with so much of passion, so much of giving all of you, whether it's a post or, now as you talk about your children or when you run training programs, right? So where do you get all of this energy from?
Sleep. Get lots and lots of sleep. So whenever I run a 1 day program, I'll go back, I'll get everything done, I'll go to sleep. So it's mostly just managing your rest. And when you really need sleep, even though you're on TikTok, the phone falls on your face, you know it's time to sleep. So rest, sleep, water. I cannot say anything else because I don't practice it. I need to lose weight. But what I really do well is sleep. Even my kids know Daddy sleeps a lot. Uh,
Oh, nice, nice.
and of course, just be active, right? So I have a punching bag here. Whenever it breaks, I just go and hit it out a little bit. Um, be I don't know. You've asked me a question which I don't have the answer to. How do I stay energetic? ADHD, I guess. Just go at it. Okay. I found the answer. I found the answer that makes sense, right? The same way I say when there's interest, you push for that interest in your kids. So when you are interested in something, go all out. So when I turn around and my eye falls on a particular book, I go, hey, let's take this book. I'll read a chapter. I'll put a bookmark. I'll put the book back. So I don't have the ability to read a whole book. I Every one of these books I have opened at least once. I've read at least one chapter or a few pages, but once I'm done, I put it back in. So I guess ADHD. I'm not sure.
Nice, nice, nice. All right. So, Nazreen brings the whole family and come join us on Sunday morning for some easy workout. Oh, Gerald. And yeah, Gerald does this workout 7 to 8 in the morning on Sundays.
Oh
He's
wow.
invited and the family. So yeah, okay. I think I really love your packaging. I don't know whether I'm the right father. I don't know whether I'm the right person. I don't know, but you've given definitely you've given me a lot of nuggets as to what are some things that I wanted to draw from you. So Nazreen, thank you very much for sparing your Friday afternoon just before your prayer to make time, for us to share how you think and hopefully draw some nuggets if it's meant for us. And before we say goodbye to you and let you go, is there anything else you want to leave the audience
Um. Hello. Nice to see you guys. I see a lot of names that I know very well. I apologize for not reaching out to you before this, keeping in touch with you, but thank you for coming. Um, I'll just say this, right? I said it already. I don't know what I'm doing. I think a lot of us can admit to that we don't know what we're doing. But when you find something that does work well, You keep at it, and also give, talk to other people. Don't just try it on your own. No man, no woman, no human being is an island. We can work together. So one thing that I gained a lot, which I forgot to mention, I should have mentioned this: being a trainer, it's good to have trainer friends. And I
Mm,
have trainer friends who are childhood education experts, people who are, so a lot of them teach me upfront about, okay, these are things that you must do with your kids, and they go, okay, let me practice it out. So it's been working really well. So find friends who have experience, and find friends who have knowledge, and I believe that we can all have better kids after this. uh,
nice.
but of course the kids are already good. When they're born, they're already good. I think our job is to keep them good.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
what I have to say.
How to keep our kids good. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Nazarene. Pleasure having you here, and it's 1 o'clock, so thank you.
Thank
I will
you.
let you go, and yeah, all the best, and I'll be in touch. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye
So,
bye, everyone.
yeah, Sundar, thank you. You said sleep leads to a perennial flow of energy. Absolutely right. Good takeaway. Now we'll let Nazreen pray. All right. So
All
with
right.
that, yeah, we say bye to Nazreen. And as we've said bye to Nazreen, thank you very much for all those who have joined us. Sarjit, Sundaraj, Gerald, Jagadisan, Pandian, Patpal, Sugana, and June Hamid, Major Prabha, and Andreas, of course. Have I missed out anybody? And Luis Marias. Mostly fathers today. I hope it was a good use of your lunchtime. With that, in case we don't meet again, happy Father's Day. If you don't come to our show next week, of course, we're having another father. It's going to be Father's Day all throughout this month. With that, have a beautiful Friday weekend, school holidays coming. I hope Nazrin's voice will haunt you to communicate, to connect, build rapport, and don't know what you're doing with your children. Enjoy till we meet next Friday, same time, a little bit earlier, same place, virtual. Till then, take care. Bye.